Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. Nathan Thompson with Exemplify Health Center and the Wellness Way, Yorkville. Happy Monday evening, guys. We have a lot of people that are watching right now. It is so good to see you guys. It really is. Tonight, I'm going to talk about beautiful sleep, your path to recovery. If you are watching right now, make sure that you say hello and also let me know where you're watching from as well, whether you are watching from YouTube or on Facebook, also on the wonderful Rumble platform as well. I'll eventually see it. It doesn't stream through our software. But just make sure that you say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. I always like to see where people are watching from as well. Tonight, I'm going to talk about a huge issue, okay? Huge issue. And I'm going to talk about sleep. And I think if you can understand better what's the purpose of sleep and why you need it, you're much less likely to skimp on it or to work on getting better quality and depth of sleep. Okay, so sleep really is your path to recovery. And if you don't follow us already, make sure you follow us on the platforms of YouTube, Rumble, also on Facebook at Dr. Nathan Thompson. Also on Facebook at Exemplify Health Center, the Wellness Way, Yorkville. We're also streaming right now to Instagram at Dr. Nathan Thompson. So if you are on there as well, make sure that you follow us. We'll keep putting out awesome content for all the wonderful people that are out there. So I see people right now that are watching from all across the world. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart of spending a little bit of time with me. I appreciate it. Make sure that you follow us on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on Rumble as well. And then coming up in just a couple of weeks, coming up March 1st, we're going to be releasing everything in the next couple of weeks. And it's the You Don't Know Squat Challenge. You don't know squat, okay? So learn how to develop the mobility to squat correctly. And we're going to be working on mobility in the hips, the knees, the ankles. We're also going to try to increase how long you can hold a squat position for. Yes, I'll go over some more details next week about some equipment that you do need. Just get it from Amazon. I don't care where you get it from Amazon. A wobble disc, a foam roller, a kettlebell. We'll release more information next week as well. And then we also have some wonderful shirts for our challenge as well, just to support our cause. Next week, just to help with that, we're going to be giving $100 in gift certificates and giveaways. And I think that what we're going to give away is 4 $25 gift cards. You will need to be present during that time, and you will need to be on Facebook, and you'll also need to be on this platform so that I can see your name come through as well. So, but I'll show you how we're going to give that out. And also I'll give you my email address so that you can email me saying, hey, I'm the winner. And I get that. So that way we can order those gift certificates for you, especially. So we're going to be doing $100 in giveaways. It's going to be awesome. And I'm happy to do it for all the wonderful people. I'm happy that we have an audience with enough people that they would even want it. So thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. Here's our t-shirt store, by the way. So we have some pretty awesome, wonderful t-shirts. We have our most popular, our mandate burpees. This became popular about three years ago during the lockdown, if you know what that is. And it only has to do with, if you ever have seen who the governor in Illinois is, who definitely needed some burpees. Then we have another one that says, nobody cares, just work harder. All right. We have our going to be famous one, You Don't Know Squat. And then we have, you probably, if you follow us on Instagram, you see me wearing this t-shirt. It's a burpee t-shirt, 1 star, and it says at the bottom, would not recommend. All right. Burpees are one of the best exercises to do. They're also just the most terrible. Okay. So that way, if you get a gift certificate, you'll be able to get a t-shirt from there and have it shipped directly to your house. We also have some other ones. If you didn't know, if you haven't seen our store, Justice, a t-shirt that says justice is in the hands of the ordinary. And the reason why I said that is because there's so many people who don't think, there's nothing I can do and I can't make a difference. And I'm like, the reason why I decided to make a difference is because I knew that I was ordinary, and God works through the ordinary people in order to bring about justice. And so that's how justice actually comes, is through the hands of the people who think I'm just ordinary. What on earth can I do? And then we also have another one. This will probably get me banned on Facebook and Instagram, but that's fine. Is the T-shirt that says "Pure Blood." Keep that jab to yourself, all right? And I made this T-shirt a long time ago, and boy, is it ever true, all right? So there are some of the T-shirts that we have if you're watching. And don't forget, our next in-person inflammation event is going to be coming up on Tuesday, February 20th. That's Tuesday, February 20th at 6:00 p.m. This is an in-person event. So if you're from the Chicagoland area, please come to that in-person event. Inflammation has been tied to weight loss resistance, cancer, infertility, thyroid disease, chronic joint pain, type 2 diabetes, autoimmune conditions, and hormone issues as well. You want to hear something that's really, really cool? Is just within about the last 2 weeks, we've helped 2 women have struggled with infertility become pregnant. Isn't that awesome? Oh, what kind of hormones did you need to give them? They didn't need hormones. What they needed is they needed to handle inflammation and then give it enough time. We just had a wonderful young woman today who came in who is pregnant for the first time. And she has struggled with infertility for such a long period of time. You know what she struggled with? She struggled with migraine headaches. And in fact, she had been actually going to even a corrective care chiropractor for months and still was getting migraine headaches. I said, there's still some kind of big inflammatory trigger that's going on. We found multiple food allergies, even IgE food allergies, lots of issues that are going on. When she came back, she's like, Dr. Nate, I haven't had a migraine headache for 4 weeks, if you can imagine that. I'm not the healer. God is the wonderful healer. We just work with him versus trying to work against him. So when people say, well, what are you going to recommend? I'm like, I'll recommend anything that makes physiological sense. You will notice there's a lot of bad medical advice out there that doesn't make physiological sense. And I'll have people try to argue with me and say, help me make sense of this. And there's so much that doesn't make physiological sense, which is why my life's work is trying to help people to understand health from a physiological perspective, how the body is actually created. So make sure that you go up and register for that inflammation talk in person, Tuesday, February 20th at 6:00 p.m. And if you are from the contiguous 48 states, then you can also go up to our Instagram page, even on Facebook, and you go and register for the inflammation webinar. When you register for that inflammation webinar, at the end, there will be a link that you can follow to register a consultation via phone with me as well. And yes, that's actually me on the phone, which is why we don't do it all that often. And working with people on the phone is a joy of mine, but it's also very tiring. It really is, which is why our space is limited. So I would recommend, if you are on the fence, do it now before I have to change my mind, in regards to that, and work only with people in person. So if you're from the contiguous 48 states, please watch the inflammation webinar. Please do it quickly and follow the links to that way. You can schedule a discovery call with me so that we can work remotely as well. Okay. Let's talk about beautiful sleep. Now, I will say this. I always thought that sleep, and I never wanted to sleep because I thought it was like, I'm just saying, I'm turning in and I'm letting my day win. But if you truly understand the purpose of sleep, then you will crave sleep as much as possible. But there's a lot of people who don't get enough sleep for whatever reason. Let's go about that. Let's answer those questions. I know a lot of people on Instagram ask that question. I'm not getting good sleep. Here's the questions I want to ask in regards to sleep. Now, if you look at mortality in 2019, this is mortality. Now, this will help make a lot of sense why you need sleep, okay? In 2019, a total of almost 3 million resident deaths were registered in the United States, yielding a crude death rate of about almost 900 per 100,000 people. Life expectancy at birth was 78.8 years. Is that going up? The answer is yes. Why is it going up? We're really good at putting out fires, but people are living more chronically sick for longer periods of time just because we're really good at putting out fires. The 15 leading causes of death in 2019 were: number 1, heart disease. Number 2, cancer. Number 3, accidents due to unintentional injuries. Number 4, chronic lower respiratory disease. Number 5, stroke. Number 6, Alzheimer's disease. Number 7, diabetes. Number 8, nephritis or nephrotic syndrome and nephrosis or due to kidney disease. Number 9, influenza and pneumonia. Whatever happened to that, by the way? Whatever happened to that? It was almost as if in 2020, the flu just disappeared, right? Um, so number 10, intentional self-harm, suicide. There's a lot of mental illnesses out there right now. 11 is chronic liver disease and cirrhosis. Okay. Fatty liver is now called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Leading cause of liver disease is not due to alcohol. Septicemia, hypertension, and hypertensive renal disease. Number one cause is going to be blood sugar issues, Parkinson's disease, and pneumonitis due to solids and liquids. Okay. Now, here's what I want you to think of. I went through that whole entire list. And if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, look at 9 out of the top 15. What do all of these have in common? 9 out of the top 15 deaths, what do they all have in common? And here it is that it has to do with mitochondrial damage. What are mitochondria? Mitochondria are basically the engines within the cell that drive energy production, metabolism, and things like that. Your mitochondria, due to mitochondrial damage. There's a link between mitochondrial damage and chronic degenerative illness that is out there, okay? This is why sleep is so important. So, what is the purpose of sleep? What is the purpose of sleep, okay? You go onto all kinds of websites and they're like, oh, we think that it's this, we think that it's that. Here's the purpose of sleep is repair, okay? It's the purpose of sleep is repair. So when you go to bed at night, think of, I am repairing. This is why you can run into all kinds of issues. If you're beating your body up, highly inflamed, or you're doing a lot of exercise and you're skimping on sleep, you're going to be skimping on the repair process. So what's the purpose of sleep? It's repair. Now, what is the hormone of sleep? What do you think it is? What's the hormone of sleep? It's melatonin. Melatonin, by the way, does not offer a whole lot in regards to you sleeping. Melatonin has to do with repair. And what is it repairing? Your mitochondria. So melatonin is how your body repairs its mitochondria. Now I'm going to look straight to the Cleveland Clinic about melatonin. Here's what they say about melatonin. Melatonin is a natural hormone. And when they say natural hormone, I'm like, what do you mean by that? I'm like, you can inject yourself with natural hormones. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's good for you as well. Melatonin is a natural hormone that's mainly produced by your pineal gland, which is a tiny gland in your brain. The pineal gland is part of your endocrine system. And pay attention to this. Research shows it helps to synchronize your circadian rhythms in different parts of your body. I'm going to go over circadian rhythms in just a second. Circadian rhythms are physical, mental, and behavioral changes that follow a 24-hour cycle. The most important and well-known of these circadian rhythm is your sleep-wake cycle. These natural processes respond primarily to what? To light and dark. Your pineal gland secretes the highest level of melatonin during the night and minimal amounts during the day. This has to make so much sense for you because it's secreted based on darkness. But how many times are we exposing ourselves to artificial light after the sun has gone down? This is why when they talk about blue light, what's blue light? Blue light is anything that basically is the same as the sky. The sky is blue. Anything that stimulates melatonin production is going to equal blue light. And this can be a lot of your screens. This could be your TVs. This can be any kind of artificial light that inhibits melatonin production, which is your repair hormone. How does melatonin affect my body? Here's what they say. Melatonin's effect on sleep. Your pineal gland releases the highest levels of melatonin when there's what? Darkness. And decreases melatonin production when you're exposed to light. Because of this, melatonin has often been referred to as a sleep hormone. While melatonin isn't essential for sleeping, you sleep better when you have the highest levels of melatonin in your body. As your pineal gland receives information about the daily light-dark, day-night cycle from the retinas in your eyes, and then it releases melatonin accordingly, People with blindness who can't detect light usually have irregularly synchronized melatonin cycles leading to circadian rhythm disorders. So have you ever seen people who suffer with blindness and they have problems with sleep? That's because their retinas are never getting any kind of light. It's very hard to regulate your sleep-wake cycle. Melatonin, here's some other effects of melatonin. Melatonin also interacts with biologically female hormones. Research has shown that it helps in regulating a menstrual cycle. Pineal melatonin can also protect against neurodegeneration, which is also the progressive loss of function of neurons. Neurodegeneration is present in conditions such as Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease. Researchers have found that people who've had their pineal gland surgically removed experience an accelerating aging process. Because of this, sometimes scientists think that natural melatonin may have anti-aging properties. Okay. So here's what they also go on to say. These sleeping disorders can cause a lack of sleep and disrupt the quality of the sleep that you get, which can contribute to the development of the following health conditions. Now listen to this: high blood pressure, insulin resistance. If you've ever have researched lack of sleep and insulin resistance, obesity, metabolic syndrome leading to type 2 diabetes, increased risk of breast cancer and prostate cancer, increased risk of type 2 diabetes. Now, when you draw the connections between the two guys, you're going to see is that lack of melatonin and its role in heart disease, and its role in type 2 diabetes, its role. This is what I always tell people. I can't lose weight. I'm like, great. Tell me how much you're sleeping. I'm sleeping six hours a night. That's not enough. And so when you look at what's truly killing people, can it be due to a lack of proper sleep? Because 6 to 7 hours is not going to cut it, guys. I will promise you that. 6 to 7 hours, you may get away with it temporarily, but overall, you're going to run into a lot of problems as well, especially because being very low on melatonin is going to cause a lot of mitochondrial damage or lack of healing. And when that mitochondria gets damaged, then this is what's causing things like weight gain, obesity, metabolic syndrome, leading to type 2 diabetes, even cancers, menstrual cycle issues, and things like that. Who says so? They do. Okay. This also comes from the Cleveland Clinic. And here's what they say. You can have secondary causes of hypomelatonemia are due to environmental factors and also medications. So here is having a lack or too low of melatonin, and here's what they attribute it to: shift work. When are you working? Are you working a night shift? Look at night shift and look at how your body can just fall apart over time. Now they also say aging, and I'm like, I don't know if it's aging as much as your body is just beat up. Neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Now listen to this. Now listen to this, guys. But also what interferes with melatonin secretion: beta blockers, calcium channel blockers, and ACE inhibitors. And what are those? Those are all blood pressure medications. Those are all blood pressure medications, which really makes you wonder, Doc, I've been on this blood pressure medication for 10 years. Why am I having problems with sleep? Because there is remember this, medications manipulate. They do not heal. They manipulate. This is why if you have normal blood pressure and you decided that you're going to go on an ACE inhibitor, it will lower your blood pressure even more, which is why some people, as they go through the healing process, their blood pressure gets quote unquote too low. And I'm like, okay, great. Are you still on a blood pressure medication? Well, what's that? You're saying you need to talk to your doctor and you need to ask them, please take me off of this blood pressure medication because my blood pressure now is getting too low. But it can also beat you up big time. Who says so? They do. This is actually coming from the Cleveland Clinic, who's actually saying that beta blockers, calcium channel blockers, ACE inhibitors, which are the most common blood pressure medications, how it can cause low melatonin, which is your repair hormone to begin with. Now, this comes from research they did about 7 years ago. This is in you can find this on PubMed. And here's the title of it: Melatonin as an Antioxidant. You got to stop looking at it as a sleep hormone. You got to look at it as an antioxidant. It under promises but over delivers. And here's what they say in the abstract: Melatonin is uncommonly effective in reducing oxidative stress under a remarkably large number of circumstances. Melatonin's ubiquitous but unequal intracellular distribution, including its high concentrations in mitochondria, likely aid its capacity to resist oxidative stress and cellular apoptosis or cellular death. There's credible evidence to suggest that melatonin should be classified as a mitochondria targeted antioxidant. Melatonin's capacity to prevent oxidative damage and the associated physiological debilitation is well documented in numerous experimental ischemia reperfusion studies, especially in the brain and in the heart. So if you have had a brain attack or a stroke, or if you've had a heart attack, then melatonin may be something that you want to be taking as an added supplement as well. Melatonin has been effectively used to combat oxidative stress, inflammation, and cellular apoptosis or cell death, and to restore tissue function in a number of human trials. So there's a lot of promising research out there which shows that melatonin is it has main antioxidant properties taking place. And when do you have melatonin? When you are sleeping. Melatonin in cancer treatment, okay? Melatonin in cancer treatment. Epidemiological and experimental studies have documented that melatonin could inhibit different types of cancer in vitro and also in vivo. Results showed that involvement of melatonin in different anti-cancer mechanisms, including apoptosis induction or cell death induction, which is what you need if you do have cancer, cell proliferation inhibition, meaning it's slowing the spread of certain types of cancer cells, reduction in tumor growth and metastasis, reduction in the side effects associated with chemotherapy and radiotherapy, decreasing drug resistance in cancer therapy, and augmentation of the therapeutic effects of conventional anti-cancer therapies. How many times, if you're going through cancer treatment, have they told you nutrition doesn't matter, and neither does any supplement that you could be taking? But there is a lot of research that shows that melatonin is an awesome thing when it comes to cancer. Okay, now I know what you're thinking, guys, and now everyone is trying to order melatonin. Everyone is trying to order or trying to take, oh, should I take melatonin and whatnot? If you are asking that question, then you suffer from what is known as the Dr. Oz effect. Do you suffer from the Dr. Oz effect? Okay. Now, Dr. Oz has given a lot of bad advice. I'm the first to say that. But Dr. Oz would say, hey, did you know that doing this can help lower cholesterol? And then as soon as Dr. Oz said that, everyone went out to a health food store and bought up whatever was on the shelf that Dr. Oz recommended. And this is how, guys, you end up on 30 supplements because you just are doing what Dr. Oz said. Just remember this. Dr. Oz has never read your labs. Dr. Oz probably couldn't connect the dots. And in fact, that's what we do every day, is be able to connect the dots as far as what's happening with physical, chemical, and mental stressors. Connect the dots between the two. And the reason why is the body has a wonderful capacity to heal, and it can't when it gets overburdened with too many stressors that are going on. Okay. So you're probably asking the question, do I need to be on melatonin? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Please don't ask me. I had never looked at your labs. All right. But please don't fall from the Dr. Oz effect of just because Dr. Oz recommended it, I'm going to take a bunch of things. Just remember this. If you are on 30 supplements, you are missing something. And so many people want to supplement with so many different things. And just remember, there's multiple factors at play. And if you are taking 30 supplements, you're not better. You are definitely missing something. You're missing something. So please don't fall don't fall into the Dr. Oz effect. Okay. And I see that if he also told you to take the you know what, he's probably not. He's probably not. I probably wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. But a lot of people actually do. All right. So let's talk about your circadian rhythm. Dr. Nate, what on earth is your circadian rhythm? This has to do with cortisol secretion and also your melatonin levels and things like that. Okay. So If you look at your circadian rhythm, by the way, guys, um, cortisol is not bad. It's not a bad hormone. The body would not produce bad hormones. Everybody talks about, oh, I got to try to lower cortisol. Cortisol is actually released based off of your blood sugar. Okay. So, and if you weren't producing any cortisol, you wouldn't be able to get out of bed in the morning. Okay. So now your cortisol rhythm, if what you're looking at is you're looking at what's known as a Dutch test. And the best way to measure this is actually doing a Dutch test in which you're going to be urinating 4 times and looking at your cortisol metabolites to see the concentrations of those different things. What is your circadian rhythm? Well, I want you to think of this. What wakes you up in the morning? Is it an alarm clock? If it is, your circadian rhythm is way off, okay? Because as you normally, if you're following a normal sleep wake cycle, your blood sugars you should release cortisol to try to get your blood sugars up, and you should wake up without an alarm. Technically, you should wake up without an alarm. But if you are hitting the snooze button 4 to 5 times, there's a problem with your circadian rhythm. So cortisol should start to rise in the morning, which is what wakes you up. And then cortisol should be at its highest in the late morning and the early afternoon. This is why we say the best time to actually work out, late morning, early afternoon. Next best time is going to be in the morning. And then it tapers off as it goes into the afternoon. It should be at its lowest at night. So your cortisol should be at its lowest, and that will actually help you to go to bed. How many of you, I'm not recommending this for everybody, how many of you have ever fasted and by day 2, you're just absolutely wired because your cortisol's through the roof? It's trying to mobilize blood sugars as much as it can. And it's like, wow, I feel super wired. We're like, what's going on? But if you are following a normal circadian rhythm, according to light and according to dark, this is why getting to bed early will help with melatonin production and secretion from the pineal gland, and also helping you get restorative sleep. What time should I be going to bed at night, Dr. Nate? Honestly, 10 o'clock, and you should be waking up at 6, maybe 7, in order to get true restorative sleep. A lot of people have messed up circadian rhythms, and you will have a messed up circadian rhythm if you're doing shift work, meaning I'm working a night shift. I'm trying to go to bed, when it's light out, trying to get my sleep during that time, because you will mess up with the release of cortisol, which is your repair hormone. This is why I always say, hey, what time are you getting to bed? Oh, 3 in the morning. I'm sleeping till noon. This happens in like teenagers. And I'm like, when you wake up, do you feel refreshed? Nope. And I'm like, that's because you missed out on melatonin release. You probably didn't repair or recover at all. This is why repair and recovery is so important. This is why sleep is so important, especially if you are working out and things like that. Now, you may ask this question, okay? But doc, I don't sleep very well. What are some potential problems that I might have? You guys ready? Let's go over some potential problems that you might have that is going to interfere with the depth and the quality of your sleep. Now, we're not talking about, hey, I got to wake up and urinate, or hey, my pets give me problems and I got to take them out so that they can go to the bathroom. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about you either can't get to sleep or you definitely can't stay asleep. And there's reasons why that happens. Here's the first thing that I want to ask you. Do you have any blood sugar issues? If you have any blood sugar issues, and if you have that going on, you will probably have you'll have a cortisol awakening pattern way too early, which is why people have some blood sugar issues. They're waking up hungry because their cortisol levels are elevating, trying to mobilize blood sugars, and then they're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning just absolutely wired. Guess what puts them to sleep? Eating carbs. That's what puts them to sleep. And if you can't sleep the whole night and you're waking up, check your blood sugars, please, because you may have some problems with blood sugars, insulin resistance. That's why you got to check your insulin levels. You have to check A1C and things like that. Okay. So do you have any blood sugar issues? And if you don't know, please get it tested. Number 2, here's the other thing. How's your mental stress? How is your mental stress? Now, I always will say this: who stresses out more, men or women? And everyone knows it's women. And who stresses women out the most? It's always their man. Okay. How is your mental stress? So I'm going to show you a hormone here in just a second that helps you to shut your brain off, especially with areas of mental stress. But I want you to think of this. I have a picture of a bear up there. I want you to think of this. if I had a bear right next to me and it hadn't eaten in like 30 days, I'm gonna have a really hard time falling asleep because I'm gonna be wondering, what's this bear gonna do next? So if you have the proverbial bear, and this could be real or this can be perceived, most likely it's probably perceived, but if you have this uh, perceived bear or this stressor that's always there, good luck with getting very deep sleep, which is why you're going to wake up quite a bit. Your mind's going to be racing and things like that. And one of the things that I want to talk to you guys about is this idea of GABA. Okay, Dr. Nate, what is GABA? GABA is gamma aminobutyric acid. It's a calming neurotransmitter, primarily that its receptors are going to be within the spinal cord, within the brain, and they inhibit. Basically, what it does is it helps you to shut your brain off, helps you to shut your brain down as well. Now, you also have some other organs of GABA production and reception. I'll go over that in just a second. Now, are you menopausal or do you have menstrual cycle issues? Okay. Are you menopausal or do you have any kind of menstrual cycle issues? Now, how many women, if you are if you go into the time of menopause and all of a sudden you start to develop a lot of sleep issues and things like that, okay? Here could be one of the reasons why. One of the largest organs of GABA production and receptors is actually the uterus, okay? Now, let me ask you a question. The uterus is a large production and has a lot of receptors for GABA, which is an inhibitory neurotransmitters. But if you have had a lot of problems with premenstrual syndrome and things like that, then there's probably a problem with GABA production. There probably is. So you can have low GABA production. You could also have poor GABA reception because that neurotransmitter needs to release it, and you need to have the receptors for it in order for those to be able to bind like a lock and key. Okay. That's why any hormone, even insulin, needs a lock and key. And you could be insulin resistant, just like you can be GABA resistant too. You need the receptors for it as well. So here's the three things that have gone over is, do you have blood sugar issues? Number two, how's your mental stress? Do you have a bear that's just laying next to you? Good luck trying to sleep. And then, are you menopausal? Do you have a lot of menstrual cycle issues as well? That can massively interfere with it. And then here's the last thing too. And when I ask you this question, are you a poor caffeine metabolizer? Do you have a hard time being able to metabolize caffeine? And if you do, then there's probably a problem with that. Okay. Now, I want you to think of this is, I'm a poor caffeine metabolizer. I have caffeine at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm still wide awake at that. Then you probably have a problem being able to break down and metabolize caffeine. What breaks those things down? They're called your cytochrome P450 enzymes. And the one specifically that has to do with caffeine metabolism is known as CYP1A2. This helps to metabolize not only caffeine, but medications, and yes, even your estrogens, which means that if you are deficient in certain enzymes, by the way, iron is very important for you to be able to make those enzymes. And this is why when people start having some issues when it comes to their liver, this is why doing a Dutch test can help so much, because you're looking at those cytochrome P450 enzymes to see how things are metabolizing as well. Okay. Just so you know, I'm a very fast metabolizer of anything. If I go and get some dental work done, I metabolize, the shot very quickly in order to numb my mouth. I metabolize caffeine very quickly. If I have any caffeine within like an hour, no problems falling asleep or anything like that. And that has to do with liver enzymes specifically. And the one that's in play is, just remember this, CYP1A2, which helps to metabolize medications, which means if you don't metabolize caffeine very well, you probably don't quickly metabolize your medications very quickly as well. And it also could mean like you have a problem metabolizing your estrogens, even down healthy pathways, to be able to eliminate as well. So what are some of the answers, guys, that you can do? Because you might be like, yeah, Dr. Nate, I'm menopausal. I have blood sugar issues that are going on. Oh, I'm a poor caffeine metabolizer. I feel like I have everything against me. Okay. Make sure you get registered for the inflammation talk. Please start working with us, because I want you to have victory. I want you to have restoration, not manipulation. There's a big difference between the two. So, Dr. Nate, what on earth should I do? Is number one, make sure that you're getting tested. A Dutch test is a great place to start. Getting your blood sugars is a great place to start. You can even test your neurotransmitters as well in order to see if you do have an increase in very excitatory neurotransmitters or calming neurotransmitters as well. But make sure that you get tested. Number two, do you have any blood sugar or any stress issues? I know that there's a certain level of stress, guys. There's no doubt about it. But if you're stressed, you're not going to get restorative sleep. Are you exposed to blue lights and artificial lights? Because remember, getting constant stimulation from artificial light and from blue light, which is going to be screens and things like that, will inhibit melatonin production. This is why sleep should be a routine. This is why you shouldn't be like watching TV until it's time to go to bed. That will inhibit melatonin release, which is going to impair recovery and healing. Okay. Now, do you consume foods that are high in melatonin? There are foods that are going to be very high in melatonin. Hopefully, I'll go over these in just a second. What's your caffeine consumption look like? And are you a good metabolizer of caffeine? Are there supplements that will help with GABA production or reception? Yes. And then also, if you can reduce physical, mental, and chemical stressors, this is why people say, oh, Dr. Nate, my sleep is so much better, because you're reducing a stressor inside of the body. You know what one of the biggest stressors inside the body is that's going to inhibit sleep? It's called alcohol, okay? So go 30 days without any alcohol. Let me know how you're sleeping. Everyone's like, oh, it's so much better, okay? So are there herbs with melatonin in them? Yes, these are the herbs. Schisandra, that's just not a name of a crazy ex-girlfriend, right? Schisandra is an herb, has the highest amount of melatonin that's in it. Turmeric, and yes, even St. John's wort is a very high melatonin herb. Here's one of the things you got to be careful of, especially when it comes to St. John's wort, is that it will induce certain pathways, certain cytochrome P450 enzymes, which will make you metabolize your drugs quicker, which is why we don't recommend it at all for people if they're on any kind of antidepressants and stuff, because it speeds up the metabolization of drugs and things like that. And you don't want to be serotonin deficient, or else you're going to have a really, really bad day. But they are very high in melatonin. That's why we give Schisandra, especially during certain phases of a person's care, to help protect their liver. Okay. Now, are there some foods that are very high in melatonin? Are there foods high in melatonin? The answer is yes. Walnuts, mustard seeds, rice. You got to see if you have a food allergy to it or not. Ginger root, peanuts, asparagus, tomatoes, which most people have an allergy to. Mint will also be high in melatonin. But if you are watching right now on Instagram, what is one of the most highest concentrations foods out there in melatonin? Do you know what it is? It's called tart cherry juice. Okay. Doesn't taste very good. And also tart cherries, but the highest by far in melatonin is tart cherry juice as well. And that, if you are skimping on sleep, which I don't recommend, but this can help with repair a little bit better, especially if you're getting foods that are high in melatonin as well. How do you help with GABA production, guys, and reception? Here are some of the things that can help with GABA production and reception. Number one, zinc plays a role in GABA production and GABA reception. Okay, zinc. Don't go run out and just get a zinc isolate. You need to get zinc from food sources, which the best is going to be from oysters. And also, what's also high in zinc, like liver, desiccated liver, and organ meat is going to be high in zinc. Here's some other things that can help to calm the brain down as well. L-theanine. L-theanine has been a lifesaver for a lot of people who are having problems with stress or having some problems with sleep. L-theanine. So you can have that in capsule form. Do you know how they even discovered L-theanine? Do you know what it comes from? Green tea. So it's one of the active components in green tea extract. Here's some things that can help to calm down the brain as well, is chamomile. Okay. You guys ever heard of sleepy time tea? Sleepy time tea, look at the ingredients. It contains chamomile. Okay. Now, when we give chamomile, we give a lot of it. We give it in very high amounts. So what you're going to be getting an equivalent to is probably about 6 to 7 cups of sleepy time tea, which means you're just going to be urinating for the rest of the night. And then you're going to be up anyway. Okay. Some other things that help with GABA production is known as passion flower. Passion flower, which we'll recommend for some people. Sometimes passion flower makes people more alert and awake. And then at that point, then we're saying, hey, magnesium might be do a little bit better job with you. But like magnesium, L-threonine can play a role because that has the potential to cross the blood-brain barrier. And then if you guys have ever heard of valerian, you guys ever heard of valerian root? That will help people get better quality of sleep because it's helping with GABA production and also GABA reception, which is that inhibitory neurotransmitter as well. So zinc, L-theanine, chamomile, passion flower, magnesium, valerian, and just like that, everyone's trying to figure out how to order that. Fix your lifestyle first, and if you need that, then yes, work with me one-on-one, okay? Doc, I get it. I get it. What on earth can I do, okay? Here's the biggest thing that I can tell you. What on earth can you do? Just be coachable. Don't become the person taking 35 supplements. Please don't become that person, and make sure that men, you're getting at least 7 hours of sleep. Women, I would even say get 9 to 10 hours of sleep per night. Don't let your woman skimp on sleep. Okay. Now, one of the reasons why my wife got sick was because she was skimping on sleep. And this was to coach CrossFit classes. And so for a few months, she was getting up at 4:30 in the morning to coach CrossFit classes because there's no way I could have done it. And she just got absolutely ransacked with those things. And when that happened, I said, honey, you have to be getting 9 to 10 hours of sleep. Go to bed. And then I'll stay up and I'll finish all of the work that you haven't done. Just leave me a list and I'll make sure I do it. I'll even clean the kitchen. But one of the things that was so paramount to her recovery was her getting enough sleep. Make sure that you're getting enough sleep or else everything just starts to fall apart. Do you guys know that even with men, when men start skimping on their sleep, you'll even see their testosterone drop, and you can see it drop by about 10% even within 5 days. And the reason why is because, yes, even men, some of their testosterone contributions coming from the adrenal glands. And if you're skimping on sleep, the adrenal glands are going to start decreasing testosterone production. Okay. So if you even want to increase your testosterone production, work on getting enough sleep as well. Okay. So beautiful sleep. I hope this helps you get enough sleep. And just remember, coming up on Tuesday, February 20th, is our next in-person inflammation event. I know that we already have people registered for it, but if you're within the Chicagoland area, within an hour drive, make sure you get registered for that right now. That's how you work with us in person, which is what I always prefer because it's just easier that way. But you can also watch the inflammation webinar, and we're going to talk about people when they have lots of inflammation. That can lead to problems with weight loss resistance, cancer, infertility, thyroid disease, issues with joint pain, arthritis, type 2 diabetes, autoimmune conditions, and yes, even problems with your hormones as well. Because remember, hormones respond. Hormones will make you feel lousy, but they're not going sideways for no reason. They're responding to stressors and things like that. Now, next week, guys, I'm going to talk about the You Don't Know Squat Challenge, how to get involved with that. You'll see it on Instagram. You'll see it on Facebook as well. But be present for this, guys, especially on Facebook, because we're going to be giving 4 $25 gift cards from our Bonfire website, which is where you get the t-shirts from. You'll get that, and you'll be able to order a t-shirt from our store, which is going to be absolutely awesome too. Now, just remember this: if you get a t-shirt, wear it well and make sure you represent us properly. All right. So we'll be doing that next week. So make sure that you are here. Yes, you will need to be present to win. If I name your name and you're not here, then you're just going to be missing out. So make sure. And I know who watches. So this isn't going to be random as well. And so if you watch and you comment quite a bit, I'm pretty familiar with your names. And so make sure that you are watching. So that way, if I name your name, I'll give you the email address that you can reach out to me. And that way you'll get a gift card to our Bonfire website so you can order some of our awesome t-shirts that we have as well. So yes, I'd like to say that this is it's completely random. No, it's not, because I know who watches and I have favorites. So Next week, we'll be doing $100 in giveaways as well. So hopefully, guys, this deepens your understanding when it comes to beautiful sleep. And if you know someone who needs help with sleep, make sure you please share this video with them as well. Please share that. Everyone should be getting beautiful sleep so that they can recover, heal, their health can be at their best. So guys, I love you guys all. I appreciate all of you. Thank you guys. And I'm humbled that you watched all the way to the end. Thank you guys so much. Please share this video as well. I will see you guys next week. And we'll be doing an awesome announcement on the You Don't Know Squat Challenge. And we'll be giving tons of giveaways at that point. So guys, be well, be blessed. As I always say, please always remember who you are. Have a great rest of your week.